20-year-old Caleb Clemmons has been banned from social media for 5 years after he made terroristic threats on Tumblr. He wrote the following: "Hello, my name is Iron Nig, and I plan on shooting up Georgia Southern. Pass this around to see the effect it has, to see if I get arrested." Well, he got arrested later that night, and he served 6 months in prison as a result. He served those 6 months in prison as he was waiting for his trial. He pled guilty to making terroristic threats, and as a result, he was sentenced to 6 months. He already served it, so he was able to not be in prison after that. However, he had to serve probation, and part of his probation indicates that he cannot be on social media for up to 5 years.
Okay, so it's a sad story overall. It's kind of a funny punishment to give, and I'm not even sure how you enforce it. If they catch him on Facebook, are they going to come and arrest him? Is there a cop on the beat saying, like, wait a minute, I think he might have Instagrammed, and go get the guy? Now, they're saying that this guy, look, is making a dangerous threat. And to be fair, one of the guys who's in government here says, look, we didn't arrest him for killing people. We arrested him for doing a terroristic threat, which he did. I understand that, but you also have to use some judgment. Like, for example, if you went in there and it turned out he had weapons and he had made preparations, great police work. Excellent. That's exactly what we want you to do. And I get why you wanted to investigate him in the first place. I want you to investigate him in the first place because he says he's going to go kill the kids, etc., right? But once you go there and you see, wait, he doesn't have any weapons, and he says this to them. It was, quote, an experimental literary piece and an art project. That's not a guy who was going to shoot up a school. Okay, that's a pretty smart kid. And no,
look, I'm going to be a little harsher on him. You can't say you're going to go shoot up a school. You can't. You just can't.
Know.
Like, you know what? You deserve to be punished. You deserved consequences. I don't know how you're going to enforce him not being on social media. He could easily be on social media with a different identity. No one would ever know. I'm in favor of him having 5 years of probation. He already served his prison time. I actually think that it's relatively fair. I see this as the equivalent of yelling fire in a crowded movie theater.
No. See, here's the problem. The reason I disagree with you is 6 months in prison is way too harsh. And he wouldn't have had to serve it if he could have gotten bail. But bail was set at $20,000, and his family was too poor to pay it. So now, if he was some family member of someone who was more well-to-do, he would have been out immediately. Would they have retroactively happened to give him 6 months and then he'd have to come in? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think if you're from a family that's got resources, you're not serving a day in prison for this.
All right, so that's the real crime here, the fact that we pick and choose who gets to pay the consequences for their actions. But in this case, he deserved consequences for his actions. You can't have a bunch of people on the internet saying, hey, I'm going to go shoot up this school.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. On that, I agree with you. The only question is, what's the proper punishment? And I think 6 months in prison for a kid is unbelievable. I mean, if that had happened to one of my friends, it would have been life-altering, community-altering. Everybody would have talked about it. It would have been amazing. Now, and let's keep it real here. Caleb is both poor, and he happens to be African-American. So, okay, I don't know if look, maybe I'm being unfair here, but I think a lot of people look at that, and maybe the authorities, and they go, well, it's a black kid in prison for 6 months. It's perfectly normal. What's the big deal?
Look, I think it has more to do with socioeconomic status than anything. You hit the nail on the head. His family couldn't afford the $20,000 bail. As a result, he had to stay in prison for 6 months. By the way, whatever happened to a fair and speedy trial? Right? Like, okay, so Bradley Manning is like an extreme example. But like, even in this case, like, why can't we take him to trial immediately? Like, why does he have to wait in prison for 6 months?
After you already did the investigation and you knew that he wasn't going to shoot up the school, did you really think he was such a danger that you had to keep the kid in prison for 6 months? So, no. Look, it was a dumb thing for him to do. But as an experimental literary piece in an art project, even if you don't believe him, and you know that was the case, yes, it was dumb. It wasn't 6 months in prison dumb. And by the way, 5 years of probation ain't no joke either. I mean, the minute you do anything slightly wrong, they're like, well, here's a criminal. He already served his stint. He's got 5 years, and maybe he does 5 years. I mean, look, you drive without a license. You forgot your license. Whatever, you didn't renew your license. Whatever it might be. That's a pretty significant thing. And I think, again, you're right, Anna. The main issue is socioeconomic. If his family was rich, there's no way he would have gotten any of that.